The Great Walls of Constantinople stood for over 1,000 years, rising above the Bosphorus as a testament to human ingenuity and determination. These formidable ramparts, layered with stone and history, were more than just barriers. They were the very heartbeat of a city that believed itself eternal, breached only once before their final fall, a symbol of power and divine protection. For centuries they repelled invaders, withstanding earthquakes, sieges, and the relentless march of time. The scars on their surface tell stories of countless battles and desperate last stands. This city was the heart of the Byzantine Empire, the last outpost of Rome. Its streets echoed with the footsteps of emperors, scholars, and traders from every corner of the known world. Here, East met West, and ancient traditions mingled with new ideas. Armies would often turn back at the sight of its defenses, knowing any attack was nearly hopeless. The city's reputation for impregnability was legendary, and its defenders were renowned for their courage and resourcefulness. By 1453, the Byzantine Empire had shrunk to little more than the city itself, but its importance was undiminished, a treasure house of knowledge, wealth, and faith. Within its walls, priceless relics, ancient manuscripts, and the wisdom of ages were guarded fiercely, even as the world outside changed. Its fall would mark the end of an era and reshape the world. The fate of empires, religions, and entire civilizations would pivot on what happened here at this crossroads of continents and cultures. The defenders, vastly outnumbered, stood as the last Romans fighting for a legacy stretching back to Constantine the Great. They knew they were not just defending a city, but the memory and spirit of an empire that had once ruled the world. Across the field, Sultan Mehmed II, just 21, saw the city as his destiny, a prize that would make his empire the center of the world. Driven by ambition and vision, he was determined to succeed where countless others had failed. He brought a massive army and the most advanced weaponry of the age, determined to succeed where others had failed. Cannons never before seen on this scale were ready to shatter the ancient walls, and tens of thousands of soldiers prepared for the final assault. The stage was set, a desperate defense against overwhelming odds, with the fate of empires hanging in the balance. As night fell, both sides prepared for the coming storm, knowing that history itself would be written by the outcome. The storm that had gathered for centuries was about to break upon the ancient walls, and the world would never be the same again. Constantinople's defenses were legendary, a triple-layered system of stone and mortar built to withstand the mightiest armies of the medieval world. These walls were not just barriers, they were symbols of the city's resilience and ingenuity, standing tall against the tides of history. Stretching 4 miles across the land, the Theodosian walls formed an unbroken shield, their imposing silhouette dominating the horizon and inspiring awe in all who approached. Attackers faced a flooded moat, an outer wall, a killing ground, and then the massive inner wall, 40 feet high and 16 feet thick, studded with towers that loomed over the battlefield. Each layer was a deadly obstacle designed to slow, trap, and break any invading force. For a millennium, these walls had repelled invaders from every direction, Persians, Arabs, Bulgars, and countless others. Their reputation alone was enough to deter many would-be conquerors. The defenders, led by Emperor Constantine II and the skilled Giovanni Giustiniani, were a mix of Byzantines, Venetians, and Genoese, just 7,000 men against 80,000 Ottomans. Despite being vastly outnumbered, their courage and determination were unwavering. They patched damage by day and prayed by night, knowing the city's fate rested on their shoulders. Every stone they set, every prayer they whispered, was an act of defiance against overwhelming odds. From the towers they saw a sea of Ottoman tents and heard the relentless sounds of a vast army. Drums, shouts, and the clatter of weapons echoing through the night, a constant reminder of the siege's intensity. At night, enemy campfires glimmered like a new constellation, a constant reminder of the force arrayed against them. The flickering lights stretched as far as the eye could see, surrounding the city in a ring of fire and steel. The defenders were the last line. If these walls fell, so did everything they stood for. Their families, their faith, and the legacy of Byzantium all hung in the balance. The siege was not just a battle for a city, but for the soul of an empire, a struggle that would echo through the ages, shaping the destiny of East and West alike. Sultan Mehmed II, young and ambitious, gazed at the towering walls of Constantinople and knew that conquering the city would require more than just courage and numbers. The ancient Theodosian walls had repelled invaders for centuries. He needed a weapon the world had never seen before. Enter Orban, a master cannon founder from Hungary, who arrived at Mehmed's court with a bold promise. He could build a cannon powerful enough to shatter the city's defenses. Orban's creation, the basilic, was a marvel of engineering, an enormous super cannon stretching over 27 feet long, capable of hurling stone balls that weighed more than 1,000 pounds each. Transporting and firing this behemoth was a feat in itself. It took teams of oxen and hundreds of men just to move it into position. But when the basilic roared, the ground trembled, and its thunderous blasts echoed for miles, shaking the earth and shattering stone. Each devastating shot was not just a physical blow to the city's walls, but a psychological assault on the defenders, chipping away at both the stone and their hope. The basilic was slow to reload and prone to overheating, often requiring hours to cool down. Still, Mehmed ordered a relentless bombardment day and night, wearing down the city's defenses with sheer persistence. The defenders, exhausted but determined, raced to repair breaches each night, risking their lives under the cover of darkness as the city's fate hung in the balance. It became a desperate contest, stone and sweat against iron and fire, with every hour bringing new destruction and new acts of courage. The giant cannon soon became the symbol of the siege itself, an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object, a clash of willpower and technology. With every thunderous shot, the city's ancient walls crumbled further, and the breach widened, bringing Constantinople ever closer to its breaking point. The defenders' resilience and bravery were tested to the absolute limit as they faced the relentless onslaught. The clock was ticking for Constantinople, and the world watched as the city's fate was decided by fire and stone. Nights in besieged Constantinople blazed with fire. Flaming arrows arced through the sky, igniting rooftops and battlements. The Ottomans unleashed incendiaries to terrorize and exhaust the defenders, forcing them to fight both flames and foes. Teams of firefighters battled blazes as smoke and burning pitch filled the air. The psychological warfare was relentless. Fire was as much a weapon of fear as destruction. Both sides wielded Greek fire, a legendary substance that burned even on water, devastating enemy ships and striking terror into attackers. The Ottomans launched explosive projectiles, turning the siege into a nightly inferno. The city, once a beacon of faith and culture, was now lit by the flames of war. Defenders, exhausted and covered in soot, fought fires as fiercely as they fought soldiers. Every night was a battle for survival. The siege was a symphony of destruction, with fire as its loudest note. The Golden Horn, protected by a massive chain, shielded Constantinople's northern flank from the Ottoman fleet. Mehmed's solution was audacious. He ordered his ships dragged over greased logs, overland, and into the harbor behind enemy lines. By dawn, Ottoman warships floated inside the Golden Horn, outflanking the city's defenses. Panic spread among the defenders as their sense of security vanished. The vulnerable sea walls were now exposed, forcing the defenders to stretch their thin ranks even further. A desperate fireship attack failed, sealing the city's fate. Mehmed's gamble had worked. The noose tightened. The final assault was now inevitable. Imagine being Leo, a Byzantine guardsman, exhausted and battered atop the crumbling walls. Sleep is a memory. Your body aches from endless repairs and battle. The enemy seems endless, their numbers swelling each day. Emperor Constantine VII walks the walls, fighting beside his men, a king choosing to die with his people. Food and hope are running low. The walls crumble faster than they can be rebuilt. Some see omens in the sky, divine signs or abandonment, no one knows. Fear is a constant companion, but so is resolve. You fight for family, faith, and the memory of Rome. The defenders vow to stand their ground, to the last man if need be. There is nothing left but courage and duty. The city's fate is sealed by the will to resist. Now, see through the eyes of Yusuf, a young Ottoman soldier. The camp buzzes with anticipation. Constantinople, the red apple, is within reach. The Sultan's presence inspires. The imams remind all of their holy mission. The defenders fight like lions, but the cannons grind the walls down, and time favors the Ottomans. News of the ships in the Golden Horn electrifies the camp. Victory feels inevitable. The final assault is coming. Swords are sharpened, prayers whispered. Despite fear, hope burns bright. This is history in the making. The dream is to be among the first to enter the legendary city. The promise of glory and reward drives the army forward. The siege has become a test of endurance and faith. The city's fall is only a matter of time. On May 28th, silence fell. Mehmed declared a day of rest and prayer before the final assault. Bonfires lit the Ottoman camp, casting a hellish glow on the city walls. Inside, the defenders gathered for one last service in Hagia Sophia, Orthodox and Catholic united in prayer. Emperor Constantine VI gave a final speech, urging courage in the face of fate. Just after 1 a.m. on May 29th, the assault began. Drums thundered and waves of attackers surged forward. The first wave, the Bashi bazooks, were thrown back, but the defenders were exhausted. The disciplined Anatolian regiments pressed the attack, focusing on the battered walls. Fighting was brutal and desperate. Giustiniani, the Genoese commander, was wounded, causing panic among the defenders. The line began to waver as confusion spread. The Ottomans pressed harder, sensing victory. The defenders' last reserves of strength were nearly spent. The city's fate hung by a thread. The final blow came as Mehmed unleashed his elite janissaries. They advanced relentlessly, exploiting a small unlocked gate, the Kirkoporta. Ottoman banners rose on the towers. Panic swept the defenders. Emperor Constantine II was last seen fighting in the chaos, dying as a Roman emperor. The city fell. The Roman Empire was no more. The shockwaves reached all of Europe, as scholars fled west with ancient knowledge, fueling the Renaissance. Istanbul became the new capital of the Ottoman Empire, dominating the region for centuries. The siege was more than a clash of arms. It was a turning point in history. Two civilizations collided, and the world was forever changed. The events of 1453 redrew the map and shaped the modern age. The courage, strategy, and sacrifice of those days echo through history. For more epic stories from the battlefields of the past, follow for the next chapter.